Welcome to the Campervan channel, the YouTube channel for all things VW camper. This is a series of videos on the very exciting process of converting a Volkswagen Transporter into the campervan of your dreams. We've already looked at choosing the right transporter to convert and finding the right converter. Links to those videos are in the description below. But today, it's tackling the big list of choices and decisions that you have to make before you order your camper. Basic layouts, how you choose the right one for you. Beds, what size and what type will suit you best. Front seat choices, singles, doubles, and whether you should swivel. Windows, how many do you need and where? Choosing your furniture, trim and flooring. And roofs, is an extending pop-top or a fixed roof going to work best on your camper? Consider it a checklist, so by the end of this video you should have a long list of items that you can give to your converter to make sure you get exactly what you're looking for. The starting point for any proper campervan is obviously a Volkswagen Transporter of T5, a T6, possibly a slightly older T4. Now, whichever one of those models you choose, the cargo space in the back, that's the bit you're using for camping, is pretty much the same. And over the years, converters have become very adept at squeezing the most into that available space.
Basically, if you look through the door of a camper, on most of them, they will look generically very similar, but it is only because you've got a window there, a sliding door there, so you can't have your seat right in the middle of the van because then you can't have a cooker there. If you sit in the van, you look at it and ergonomically, your seat's at the back, your cooker's on the right near the window. You can change bits and move things around for customers' own personal taste. However, you always have a generic pattern of roughly what it's going to look like, because otherwise it'd be a waste of space. So you can't really reinvent the wheel. You've got to really think about how you use these vans as well.
When you approach a converter, they're likely to offer you a series of tried and trusted layouts, some for short wheelbase vans, others for long wheelbase. And it may sound odd, but the thing that's probably going to determine which of those templates you go with is how many passengers you want to carry in the back. A key feature of modern campers is a rear bench seat that carries passengers when you're travelling, but collapses to form a bed at night. The bed takes up a huge part of available space, so the size of your bed has a big impact on what else can be squeezed around it.
If you get a day van, you can have a full width bed. Obviously that'd have no cupboards because there's no room for cupboards, and you just have storage underneath, which is a 150 centimetre bed, that's the width. You get a 130, that is a 3-seat, which is a little bit narrower, but it's a nice big bed down below. But obviously your cupboards are you have got some cupboards, but they're a bit smaller. And we personally also do a 112 centimetre. Again, that's just got 2 seats with seat belts, and then effectively you get more cupboards because obviously the bed's a bit smaller.
This is a 2-seat bench. It makes a bed that's wide enough for 2 adults sleeping, yet it's narrow enough to still have some decent storage down the side. Whatever size you choose, you may also get the choice of 2 different types of bed. The difference between them is how they transform from a seat into a bed. And you might think it doesn't matter as long as it works, but the type of bed you choose does have a major impact on the rest of the space in your van. The bed I chose is actually a rib bed. Rib are a French manufacturer, but there are other companies that make beds that operate in the same kind of way. How they operate is actually very simple. You start by lifting a lever to the right of the seat, give the seat a good pull, and it flips straight over, and let go of the lever to lock it in the horizontal position. Next, you reach for the lever that's below the backrest, lift it up, and that tips down into the hole left by the seat. You'll see that the top end of the bed, the head end, the top third of it effectively, is a hinged cushion that can be moved up and down. Quite useful when you want to use the bed as a lounger. Okay, advantages of the rib bed. First of all, you don't have to sleep on the surface of the seat that's been designed for sitting on. You sleep on the flip side, which is perfectly flat. But the real advantage of the rib bed is in day mode. That top end of the bed forms a really useful parcel shelf that you can get to from the rear doors. It's also got storage space below it. And because it's hinged, you can lift it vertically to create a full height cargo space in the back of your van. There's storage underneath the seat too, and the only disadvantage I can think of with this design is that the seat actually sits quite high. So tall passengers might find they don't have very much headroom, and shorties might find their feet don't quite touch the floor. Now the other option is a rock and roll bed. These tend to be mounted right up against the back doors, so there's no cargo space behind them, and the seats transform into a bed in a completely different way.
The way it works, it's a little A-frame that you lean against, and then it pulls out flat, like that. But that means that the back of the actual A-frame and the back of the rock and roll bed is always up to the back door, so you get no boot space. You sleep on the surface that you are sat on. So if you get your seat trimmed in leather, when you pull it out, you're sleeping on leather.
Whichever style of bed you choose, you can put either type on rails that are built into the van floor, allowing the whole bench unit to slide along it and be fixed at any point along that track. Push the unit fully forwards and you have a huge van space. Push it to the back of the van and you have a generous space in the centre of the vehicle. However, this flexibility comes at a price, with rail systems starting at about £2,000, and that's in addition to the cost of the bed unit itself. And what about crash testing? I've read that some beds are crash tested, some are not.
We only use rib beds. They are fully crash tested and insurance approved. Check with your converter to find out which one they use and then find out whether it is properly crash tested.
And it's the seats that are crash tested with the seat belts on for passengers.
Yes, it is.
There's nothing unsafe about sleeping.
No, it's not that. It's basically, is the seat safe? It's got seat belts mounted to it. Are they mounted correctly? And would it perform in a crash correctly?
Now, in case you're fretting whether the fabric on your new bench seats is going to match the fabric that's already on the seats in the front of your van, fear not. Bench seats can be ordered in most of the VW common trims. And of course, you could have the whole lot reupholstered in leather, have embossed VW logos in your headrests. But if you do that, be prepared to take out a small mortgage. Now to the front seats, and to swivel or not to swivel, that is the question. On most camper vans, the driver's seat and the passenger seat can be made to swivel. That's turn 180 degrees to face the inside of the van. The advantage is, obviously you can sit in them, but it also makes the internal space, the living area, feel so much bigger.
Normally in every camper you'll see, the passenger seat, whether it's a double or a single, will swivel. And all it is, you use the existing seat that came with the van, whether it's a double or a single, and you unbolt it, you fit a swivel mechanism, which lots of different companies make them, then you bolt the seat back down and then the seat spins round. So when you are camping, then you've got a big seating area.
If you're converting a panel van, it's very likely that it will come with a double passenger seat or a bench. Now, I of course decided to get rid of that and wanted a single comfortable captain's chair. And one of the reasons for that is when you've got two single chairs up front, there's a gap between them, a really useful gap for getting from the front into the campervan itself. If you kept a double seat, there'd be no gap, and every time you wanted to get in the back of the camper, you'd have to get out of the door and in through the sliding door. Irritating at best, really annoying if it's raining. Fitting the swivel mechanism is relatively easy and can be done at any time, but finding a second-hand captain's chair to replace a bench can be a bit of a challenge.
Basically, a lot of people don't want a double passenger seat, they want a single with armrest and all the rest of it. They vary in price. They used to be about £500. I do believe at the moment they're over £1,000 if you want one. And we just point people in the direction of eBay, like you did yourself. And then it's just looking at the feedback of that eBay seller, but normally you're just after a genuine VW passenger seat and it just bolts in straight away.
Driver's seats can obviously be made to swivel around as well, but I guess may that depend on where your kitchen is and the sort of design behind it?
Yeah, we designed our conversion so the driver's seat will swivel and you still can point it diagonally into the room and sit on it. However, it does raise the driver's seat a little bit. And when some people find that, they think that they decide they don't want it to swivel for that reason. It all depends on your height and your shape and whether you are okay with the driver's seat being a little bit higher.
One thing you must decide before you have the conversion is where you're going to have your windows. Now, if you're converting a panel van like I did, there'll be no windows in the back at all, and that's a little bit tough on any passengers you might want to carry. So the minimum you'll need will be 2 centre windows, one in the sliding door, like this one, and one on the opposite side, which effectively becomes the kitchen window. If you're converting a combi, it will already have these 2 windows. I also had 2 windows inserted into the rear barn doors. If you have a tailgate, you can have a window inserted. And of course, you can have windows all round, like I did, have an extra pair of windows inserted into the rear panels. Now, that's actually a porky. These are decals on solid panels. They look like windows from the outside, but inside it keeps the back end of the van nice and cosy. All down to personal choice, but decals are expensive, 12 quid. Now, the next choices you're going to make are going to be much more creative. But before we deal with those, just a reminder that this book by yours truly, VW Campers for Beginners, has much more detail on the whole process of converting or buying a camper. There's a link to the print and ebook versions on Amazon in the text below this video. And one of the things it covers is furniture. Your choices here are going to have a massive impact on how the inside of your van looks and feels.
Depends where you go to, but you have different colour options. You have upper cupboards or no upper cupboards. You have louver doors, those ones that roll up and down. You have normal doors. You have storage under the seat. Every converter seems to do their little twist on how they do it. We make all our own furniture in-house. Other converters buy it in and just buy stock furniture from a large company. It all depends what you want. I always think that you want to go with a converter that actually makes their own furniture, because then they have designed their own furniture and it's bespoke to their brand. Whereas if you go with a company who just get furniture in from another company, you are also restricted by colours and shape, because they can't alter the cupboards themselves because they don't know how to. Whereas if you go with a company that make all their own cupboards, alterations can be made because obviously they make them.
But what about the appliances that fit into your furniture? How much choice do you have there?
There's loads of different hobs, there's loads of different sinks. You'll tend to find a certain company uses a certain type of sink, and they always have. They will probably let you change it, but they might not, because it might not fit in with their cupboard design. But it's endless if you look on the market, how many sinks there are, how many hobs there are, how many, even fridges, there's probably hundreds.
Once you've picked the colour of your furniture and probably your worktop finish, the next job is to pick the colour of your trim. It's this stuff. It's a kind of stretchy carpet-like fabric that plays an enormous part in stopping you freezing to death.
You'll see all vans are carpet lined. It's mainly for sound deadening and heat insulation. So because your van is metal, if you didn't do that, it'd just get really cold when you sleep in it, like if you sleep in your car. You repanel it, insulate it, and then trim it in this carpet, which is a 4-way stretch, and effectively it bends around corners and it just covers everywhere before you put the cupboards in. And you get it in lots of different colours, and then the choice is down to you.
And the floor as well, you've got choices there.
You should insulate under your floor, because otherwise in a hot country it gets warm because the exhaust is under your floor. And then it's panelled, and then obviously you can have wood effects, you can have altro flooring, you can do planks. Again, some converters will only give you a very limited. You can have this, other ones will let you get whatever you want. You can have squares, you can have cork, you can have anything, yeah.
What would you recommend for floors?
Altro is very resistant. It's like what you see in hospitals and stuff like that, but there is loads of speckledy patterns and they do all sorts for coaches. That's very practical. However, some laminates are coming out now, like vinyl laminates, that are also like wood plank effect. They're fully waterproof, they're very easy to fit, and they're super durable.
And of course there's one big ingenious component left that will completely transform the inside of your camper van, and that's the roof. These days you'll probably be offered one of these. It's a pop-top roof. Your converter will cut a huge hole in the top of your original roof and cover it with a fiberglass lid that's hinged at one end, allowing it to pop up.
I used to have vans years ago, and when pop-tops kind of weren't even a thing, and I used to be in my little Vito van when I used to go surfing, and to be honest with you, getting changed and stuff like that, it is just a pain when you're in a van if it hasn't got a pop-top roof. But as soon as you realise you can get a pop-top roof, if you just walk in one like you know yourself, you can stand up and it just totally transforms the shape of the inside of the van and makes it into a little room instead.
That's great headroom by day, but the pop top really comes into its own at night. They usually include a double bed, a board with a mattress like this one, or sometimes a slatted bed that drops down and, really cleverly, creates an additional bedroom. Are there many choices on what kinds you have, or colours, or?
There's loads of different manufacturers all over the country now. Again, like I said, with the actual conversion, just make sure you go with one with a lot of good feedback and with a proper warranty. We fit the OzTop roof. We never have a problem with it. It comes with the 5-year warranty. We also fit Remo roofs and SCA roofs as well.
I think you said to me that it's not the area to make savings on, really, the roof.
Yeah, you just want, yeah, exactly. It's a lot of money to spend, so spend it right.
So there you are, the key things you need to think about when you're ordering your campervan conversion. Now, I was a bit intrigued to find out what happened to my van while it was being converted, something you don't normally see. So I've got a video coming on that very soon. And don't forget, there's so much more detail about converting and buying VW campers in my little old book, VW Campers for Beginners. Print and e-versions are available through Amazon, and the details are in the blurb below. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, click on that bell icon, and then you'll hear of every video that comes off the assembly line. Thanks for watching.